Ladies and gentlemen, happy Friday. This is David Mirikitani with another episode of Weighing In. We're brought to you by Nike Wrestling, the good folks there at athleteps.com for all of your Nike gear, shoes, hoodies, the whole thing. Christmas is just around the corner. Get your swag there. Resolite, if you need a home mat, or if you're a coach, go to resolite.com. Classic mats, lightweight mats, plyometric boxes, and pureandclean.us, Pure and Clean Sports. Ryan and Jake, those guys are awesome down there in Nixa, Missouri. They're doing everything they can to keep you clean and safe and on the mat so you can train and accomplish your goals. One of my goals is to talk to Mark Ostrander on the air as often as possible. You are wearing the colors I would expect you to wear normally, the gold and black of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Happy Friday, Mark. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to be here.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the weekend. Had a chance to talk about last weekend with Coach Tom Ryan. I don't know. Did you get a chance to see that?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was, man, he's impressive. You know, I don't know Tom very well. I've watched him wrestle. I've watched him coach now when he was at Hofstra and then over at Ohio State. And the way he approaches his team is amazing. If people have not heard the interview, they need to go on Matt Chat and listen to it because he's so impressive to listen to. And you guys, some of the questions you asked him were right on point, and he was able to give you the exact answer that you would expect him to give, but in a little different twist because he thinks a little bit different than a lot of coaches, which is really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's funny, Mark, you and I talk about like, hey, I'm going to try to get this guy, blah, blah, blah. And I used to write up these super specific questions, and now I write topics like bullet points. Like I wrote down their lightweights, you know, like 25 Macron / Buzakis, 33 Davino, massive coming out party in Mendez. And, you know, I think you can't talk to a Tom Ryan and say, without asking, what does Jesse Mendez mean as a program, right? And
sure.
He gave a cool answer, like you said, though, about those guys cooking in the lab, I think was the phrase he said it. But there was a question that popped in my head in the middle of it, which was, what would you do if you were Nebraska? You know, and I almost didn't want to ask it because I'm like, man, you know, like, because, you know, like, listen, you coached a long time. You probably didn't have too many days like Nebraska had on that Saturday, but I know Merrimack had a couple of those days, and it's I'm guessing you had at least one in your coaching career where.
Oh yeah, I can remember one specifically. So
okay, I think, you know, like, I think that's just human nature. Like, it doesn't go right. Your kids, they woke up, they didn't sleep well. Maybe a few kids didn't wait, whatever it was. So I thought he gave a great answer and was also really gracious. Talked about the quality of the programs overall. To me, it felt like a two-part interview, not intentionally. Like the first part was super wrestling centric, and the second part felt super life centric to me. Like we were talking about things in life and his injury, and it was funny because I told my dad I was going to get Tom Ryan. Like, you got to ask him about hand fight and Nick Buzakis. You know, I guess he had heard, you know, saw the interview afterwards with Flo. So it was really fun, and I've missed doing those long form conversations, and definitely going to try to get back to doing them because I think as much as people like listening to GT and you and myself talk about what's going on, I think the learning curve for people about how to coach wrestling better, look at life better, comes from a lot of these coaches and athletes that we have a chance to talk to. And there's been times where you've helped me like ask this question and people don't even know it, but that was the best question in the interview. So I really enjoyed it. It was fun to do it. Tom was really gracious, and
I think one of the bullet points that I got out of the whole interview is because I had listened to him speak earlier about the national duels, and people need to be there. Penn State needs to be there. It's important for the sport of wrestling. And I agreed with him, you know, and Penn State's probably going to work it into their schedule in the near future, I would imagine. But Kel does such a great job over there and has a pattern and doesn't want to get away from how he does things. But, you know, his only concern with the national duels was the time period being so early in the year. And then when you talked to him in the interview and you brought that up, he goes, I'm starting to think maybe this is the perfect time for it. So, I mean, coaches change their mind, and it's not about winning. He said he'd be just as happy if they wouldn't have won when he came home.
That's easy to say when you win, though.
It is. But,
like,
I mean, they had a great weekend, and if they would have lost to Iowa in the finals by 2 points, he would have taken away that they had a great weekend. Their kids performed, and they were in every match. I mean, they wrestled hard, and that's all you can ask of your team. So
yeah, but if you lose like a bunch of blood round matches in nationals, like the wrestled hard stuff is a hard thing. I have a different opinion on or take on the national duels thing. Like, you know, each of these coaches are paid a lot of money for their team to win matches, and especially matches in March. And so while I think the national duels are important, with the current international schedule, I don't know if a team that ever put 7 kids on the U23 team is ever going to go to that. Like, there is, like, rest is an important part of the process. So,
yep.
And, you know, when you're the best team, when you're the prettiest girl in school, you, like, the other people are not going to tell you what to do. And I don't care what anybody says. And this is one of the nice things about just being on YouTube. Like, I don't think Sanderson's going to any tournament that David Taylor is saying, here's how it's going to go. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think if it was held in a more neutral site, like a St. Louis, Missouri, a Kansas City, Missouri, a Chicago, Illinois, I think that would affect things in a fairly big manner. You know, I mean, obviously Paycom, you know, Chad Richardson lives in Oklahoma. He has done a lot to help Oklahoma wrestling overall. He helps Central Oklahoma immensely. I don't think a lot of people knew about that because it's a D2 team and it's under the radar. And he's offered to help OU in the past. And I think he's actually offering to help OU now to make some changes. That's one of the rumors we heard down there this weekend. And he's obviously done, you know, when you get on a private plane and you go to David Taylor's house and you don't leave till you have an agreement. I've told everybody this agreement about these duels got made at that house. They just announced it later. And like, people are like, well, this is cool. They figured this out. Like, this was already in the works. So, and I mean, I actually have validation of that by people that were involved in that decision. So I just think it's tough wherever you do it. There's going to be, whenever you do it and wherever you do it, there's always going to be a few people that say that's wrong and here's why. You know, you helped me a lot, like talking about with border brawls and Hall of Fame duels and Fab 50 duels. There's a bunch of people on the sideline just taking pot shots, and I thought the national duels overall went really well. And I saw Matt Serber like 2 days, and I'm like, congratulations. And he did the thing that I do, like, well, there's a lot of people to thank. And I said the same thing. Yeah, but somebody's in charge.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, when your team won nationals, I'm sure you thanked everybody, but you're the head coach. You know, when Merrimack took second and my dad got coach of the year, he thanked some people, but he's the head coach. So it'll only get better. I think the process of picking teams and everything else, the timing of all of it. But the major complaint was just how centric the fans were for one team. So, but, you know, one of my friends says it's the golden rule. The people with the gold make the rules. So, you know,
yeah.
So
yeah. I thought for not having this for quite a while, I thought the way it was structured, you know, I think they're going to do things different. I think they could seed it out to, you know, all 16 teams, at least seed out the top 8. I wouldn't have a problem with that and drawing the other ones in. That would not bother me whatsoever, because you don't want to be known as the 16th best team going to the national duels. You know, so draw the other ones in, you know, seed your top 8, which is, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. And, but overall, yeah, I thought the wrestling was phenomenal. I thought the coaches were excited to be there. The athletes were excited. We got to see all the best kids wrestle, you know, except for Keeter didn't get a wrestle. He must have an injury. Something's going on.
But nobody ducked. We talked about this earlier in the week, but like nobody ducked.
Yep.
So there was an article by KJ Pilcher from the Gazette, which I believe is an Iowa paper because KJ's from Iowa. And it said 23,000 fans went. Total 2-day, 23,465. Biggest crowd was 6,306 for Sunday morning semis. The second largest was the quarterfinals. Opening session was 5,968, and the finals only had 5,000. So, but basically 23,400 is just, it's about 5,800, 5,900, 5,850, give or take a session. So what would be interesting would be if you park this thing in a 6,000 seat arena, right? Because that arena holds 19,000 people.
Yep.
So that would be fascinating. I think also your tickets would sell faster because smart people go, hey, 6,000 people went to these sessions. This place holds 6,000 people. Like, I better get my tickets. Like, we did an MMA fight in a building one time that held like 12,000 people. And like, you could not create urgency because they're like, dude, come on, you're not going to sell out. And we both know they were right. So it makes it difficult. So it'll be interesting to see. Tulsa was a really good host. It would be interesting if they moved it to Oklahoma City or something like that. Either one of those are good venues, and Stillwater's 81 and 82 miles respectively from each of those two cities, so it wouldn't matter for them.
Sure.
So we know that from running Hall of Fame duels, and people say how long from the airports. So you just pick the cheaper one. So I want to give a shout out. We got Matt King's back up and working, Mark. So the three sources they're going to combine this year are Flow, Intermat, and Open Mat. So we want to thank Christian Thompson for doing that. And my guys in Iowa, in Des Moines, Luca and his father, Zane Pagliai, are making sure all the data goes in. And so we should have all that usually by Wednesday morning. So maybe we'll do a reaction one on Monday or Tuesday, and then a rankings reaction on Wednesday, like just the overall weekend. So very slow weekends the next 2 weekends, Mark. We look at the document that you never ever look at.
Well, I'm going to see it in a minute. You're going to show me, right, David? You're going to pull right up there, and I'll be able to see exactly what we're talking about.
You want me to do that? I'll do
that.
Sure,
get it up there. Let's see it.
We'll do that.
I don't even know how to find it on my computer right now. I'm old.
No one's questioning that.
There it is. Look at that.
There it
I
is.
thought you said it was a slow weekend. Lots of good things going on.
Well, okay. Next weekend, very slow. This weekend, probably the highlight of tonight is Pitt at Iowa. We can talk a little bit about that, break it down. Oklahoma State does the Friday, Sunday trip, Air Force and Arizona State. I'm very interested in 2 or 3 matchups with Arizona State and Oklahoma State. Saturday, the Nebraska Kearney Open is probably the biggest event. And then Sunday, Black Knight Invitational and the Keystone Classic. Keystone Classic has Central Michigan, Drexel, Edinburgh, Franklin and Marshall, Harvard, Hofstra, Lock Haven, Michigan State. Then probably the 3 highest ranked teams are VTech, Rutgers, UPenn. So there'll be some potential matchups there. Hopefully we see CJ Composto. He hasn't wrestled all year.
Yeah.
And then the West Point Black Knight Invitational, Penn State, Army, Binghamton, Buffalo, Chat, Columbia, Gardner-Webb, LIU. Flow has the list of all the athletes wrestling in that. And Penn State sending 2 at most weights. We'll see like Joe Seeley. We'll see Will Henkel. We'll see JPJ Duke. They're sending 20 guys, and it's 2 per weight. So
actually, I think they're only sending 19. I looked at the sheet yesterday, and at 197, they're only sending 1 guy.
Just Marisola.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for the correction. So dual meet near my neck of the woods, Maryville at SIU. SIU just beat Northwestern, man, last weekend. Significant win for them in program history.
Wow.
And that's how it starts. Like, when I've watched Missouri progress from when they were like wrestling backup teams they were good enough to beat the backups, and then they send the varsity, and then at least they're winning a couple matches against the varsity to where they are now, where for a while there, like they were winning like 3 out of 5, 2 out of 3, 4 out of 7 against the Oklahoma States of the world.
Yeah.
So you want to talk a little bit about, you want to put in the, we'll put Pitt in against Iowa and see what matchups we like?
Sure.
All right. You see this here, okay?
I do.
All right. So for people that first time joining us, this is mattkings.com. It's an awesome website. Christian Thompson kind of built it around what we wanted, Mark, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
And the dual meet comparison is one of my favorite things to play with. You know, it's very easy to see, like, you know, who's ranked, what would be close. Does not look like a lot of close matches down early, right?
Well, I think Kay Brown and Ryder Block's going to be a good match. You got number 14 against number 21. So like we had said in the past, you get some of these weights anywhere from 8 to 25. It's a scramble. Whoever wins the scramble is going to win the match. So I think that could be a good match. Luca Augustine against Patrick Kennedy. You got number 2 against number 15.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be competitive.
Yeah, I would consider Patrick Kennedy part of the upper weights, but the first half, the Cade Brown block match is interesting. Brown's, I'm almost positive he's the older brother of Carson Brown,
okay,
who is at who will be in the Ohio Border Brawl and is at St. Edward High School. We all call it St. Ed's, but it's St. Edward High School. So that'll be interesting. Pitt's got a couple recruits that they've got commitments from, so it feels like they're on the rise a little bit. I don't know if Keeter's going to wrestle. Pitzer against Ben Keeter would be a pretty interesting match. You know,
I think they wrestled at Nationals last year.
Keeter won, obviously.
Keeter won, but it was 4 or 5 point match. It was very competitive.
We've seen Pitzer, though, with an upside of beating like the likes of a Colton Schultz, things like that.
Yep.
And then maxed out against Endine. Endine stock up, right? We go from the Bellarmine duel to how he wrestled last weekend. And you were, I can't remember if it was on or off air because we're doing a lot more on air stuff, but you're like, don't worry about him. He's going to be fine. Like, you just got to figure it out. And it ain't the same wrestling in D3 as it is wrestling in Carver. And you, as usual, you were right. You know, it's good to see that. He's got a lot of upside, right? He's really talented. He's super explosive. He's really strong. He's no criticism of the previous schools he's at, but he's in the best workout environment of his life. You know, he's surrounded by Ben Keeter, Ferrari, Kennedy, and Stephen Buchanan. Like, probably going to get better. There's probably days he doesn't get a takedown and, you know, got a lot better. So
one other thing about him, David, is he said in an interview that I was watching that if he couldn't wrestle again after today, that was the last time he could wrestle, he'd be absolutely fine with it because he's having a child and his child's going to be able to look up to him and what he's done. So he's just right now, he's just having fun. This is icing on the cake. And he's going out wrestling free. He's not worried about giving up points. He's just going out to have fun and wrestle. And sometimes that's when you have your best wrestling. So it's fun to watch him. He's a really good athlete. He can do some things. He's got this, he's going to grab your arm and do a little drag thing, but not really drag it, just kind of shuck your arm and you'll go right to your back. I saw him do it to an E3 kid, and kid did like 2 somersaults when he just pulled his arm. It was funnier than heck, but he's a beast.
He does a really good, like, step over to mount, like in jiu-jitsu. Like, I mean, he almost pinned, he pinned one guy with it, and he almost pinned another guy, almost pinned in the finals. You know, it was the first regulation takedown for Iowa. So, yeah, maxed out. Like, he's a low-key guy. Had to wrestle his brother at Nationals last year, All-American. Another guy built like a freaking tank, you know. So if we go to the rankings just to see kind of where these guys are. So it's Barr, Elam, Little, Stout, Rademacher, Berge, Novak, and Dean. And Dean's moving up the charts like, a future number one hit. He started probably off the board, then 14. Now he's all the way up to 8. So, and it's pretty justified because, he beat Merrill. I feel like Merrill should be ahead of Cam McDaniel. Just if they're one spot apart, you're head to head. And Dean's now in the All-American conversation for sure if you're at 8. So, Barr still hasn't wrestled. Little and Novak looked super even at the All-Star meet. Max Stout could make a statement if he could beat Dean by 2 takedowns, like, hey, I am going to be in the semifinals. I am going to have a chance to win a national title and make the finals. And that would be huge for Pitt.
It would be.
So that duel is tonight. Is that on BTN? Do we know?
I have no idea. It might be on BTN Plus, David. I'm guessing that's where it would be.
It's at is it at the ACC? Here we go, streaming guide. Let me see if we can figure this out. Big Ten Network. Friday's the Big Ten Network. So, because it's at Iowa. And then, so the other duel of the weekend we can talk about is Arizona State against Oklahoma State. Not on pins and needles on who's going to win the duel. Yeah. But I do think there's some interesting matches here. I'll be interested to see what you think. I don't think Figs is wrestling, okay? But Kyler Larkin against Ronnie Ramirez is interesting. Pearson Manville against Swiderski is interesting. And Pearson Manville against Vega and Caleb Larkin against Swiderski. Like, I think all the interest is sort of in the middle. And then the JUCO transfer, who is a 2-time champ against Zach Ryder, he just turned the wrong way in a couple matches. Nico Ruiz did the same thing. I don't have any reason to think he would beat Lockett, but he might be somewhat challenging. They're coming off that Friday-Sunday duel. So I guess let's start with Larkin Ramirez. Even though Ramirez is ranked higher, I think I lean Larkin. What do you think?
I agree. But they're very similar. They're both fairly tall. They're both very young. And right now, just because of the competition he's already had, I'd probably go with Ramirez in a close match.
So you're leaning the other way?
I am, just for this. I think Larkin will end up being a little better. I think he'll do more this year, but I think Ramirez has already got some matches under his belt that were important matches, and I think this is going to be Larkin's first big opportunity. So this year.
He won the Michigan State Open freshman sophomore, and he went 2-0, but he did not get to wrestle Crookham, and I don't remember who he wrestled from Michigan, but it wasn't a top 33 guy.
Yeah.
Okay, Pearson Manville, Sergio Vega. I think you'd be nuts to not pick Sergio Vega at this point, but this is really a contrast in styles, right? Like Sergio long, real flowy, super hard to take down, kind of trick you with soft hands and then get to the leg, and he's so long he can shoot from a lot of different angles. Manville, sort of the bull in the china shop, great Greco background, probably going to try to work underhooks. I think Vega's better on top by a mile than Manville. Like, if I'm coaching Manville, it's like, look, you're losing 1-0. Like, we're not picking down.
Yeah.
Unless he loses a takedown and somehow gets out right away. But even then, I don't trust that. So it'd be interesting to see how Arizona State coaches Manville. Is it like pressure right away? Like, how do they do that? Because Ryan Jack probably had the best chance of beating well, I mean, certainly Nasir Bailey had a good chance to beat Vega. You know,
Yeah.
he had his foot in the air in overtime. So, but another guy that had a decent chance of winning that match was Ryan Jack. I mean, he picked down, and I'm like, I don't care who wins, but I kind of care about coaching decisions. And like, auto down is kind of a thing in the past now with a 3-point takedown.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you can't lose the period. You can't lose the first points of the period of your choice if you want to win the match. So you can't pick down, get rode for 2 minutes, give up riding time, and get tired. Like, that's bad business.
Yep.
So you see Sergio here by like 2-3 takedowns. You see like kind of major-ish.
I do. I think he's going to get a turn. I think on his feet it's going to be very competitive. Manville could lock him up and toss him on his head too. I mean, he's been known to do that. So, but Vega's pretty smart. I don't think he's going to get in any of those positions. And then if they ever get into a scramble, Manville's in big trouble because Sergio's really good at scrambling.
Vega's really good when you get to his lead leg, like immediately going to the other's back leg side, like looking for cradles, body cradles, that single leg that Ben Askren was so good at. And he can get to it so easy because he's so long.
Yep.
So he can kind of let you suck him up a little bit and still have the right angle. He's good at pinching your head with his knee. A lot of kind of tricky things that if you're not a nerd, and I'll say that as a compliment, like you and me, you don't pay a lot of attention to, but that's what he's doing. Like, he's pinching with that right knee and then, you know, getting behind your right leg, your left leg, and that back leg, and then, you know, getting an elbow deep and just kind of walking those together like an accordion.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, you have to pop your head out, and then that's where the lift and Turk comes in. You know, like, you have to finish quick on that kid. I think the only way to beat him is to get both feet off the mat.
Agreed.
It doubles. Like, a lot of scrambles go away off double legs. So, and then probably the most entertaining match in terms of interest, Caleb Larkin, Casey Swiderski. I told you at the beginning of the year I loved Caleb Larkin, right, Mark?
Yep.
And I told you I thought he was going to beat McNeil.
Okay.
And I think, you know, what's interesting is Swiderski looked really good against Lachlan McNeil. It was only a one takedown match, but like, if you're watching it, you're like, well, he took all the shots, took all the chances, controlled the center. The only thing McNeil did better in that match than Larkin was he rode a little bit longer. Like, he rode like to the 45 or 50 second mark. Like, not enough to get riding time, but if you're a McNeil optimist, you're like, well, maybe we can tack on another 30 seconds on that and then get out fast, and, you know, we would win the top battle, so to speak. But Swiderski's had a tough go of it since then. I mean, lost to Biskins. I'm trying to think who they wrestled first round. Oh, he lost to Jackson Joy, who had lost to Bo Bassett.
Yep.
And then we didn't wrestle the starter from Nebraska.
He lost to Iowa.
And he lost to Ryder Block. So how do you see this match going?
I'm going to ask you a question, David, because you coached also. Would you wrestle Swiderski in this duel, or would you give him time to get his head straight, because he is 1-4 for the year, not counting the All-Star meet. He's had good competition, but something's going on upstairs because he's better than what he's actually doing right now, my opinion. And do you give him a reset and try to get him back to where he should be, or do you keep putting him out against really good guys and having him not be able to figure it out? There's a fine line of what you should and shouldn't do here.
Yeah, it's interesting too, by the way. Like, I pulled up the rankings, and he would be wrestling Larkin, who's 2. He beat McNeil, who was 4. He lost to Jackson Joy, who was 6. He lost to Coy Biskins, who was 8. And he beat lost Aiden Valencia badly, who's 1 spot behind him, and lost to Ryder Block, who's 2 spots behind him. So all of his losses are in the top 14. But again, if you're returning All-American, you think you're going to win these matches, right?
Yep.
And he was literally crap talking the NC State bench, like during the duel, like MFing them. And you're like, someone probably needs to get a hold of that dude before they cost him a team point or he gets DQ'd. Like, and this isn't like secondhand. Like I walked by and heard it.
Yeah.
Your question is a really good one, right? Like, what message does it send, right? Like, if you don't wrestle, like let's say you wrestle them against Air Force and not Larkin. Like, there's a couple ways to take that if you're the athlete, right? Like one way to take it is, oh, you don't think I can beat this guy? That's certainly an interpretation, right?
Yep.
The other way to take it is, hey, it's a Friday, Sunday weigh-in. We're just going to have you wrestle the first one and have so-and-so wrestle the second one kind of thing. Maybe they don't wrestle on Friday and he just makes weight Sunday, right? On the other hand, like if he loses and he's 1-5 and like I know when I went away to college, like a lot of time you get worse. I remember Jordan Albert saying he thought he was terrible at wrestling, when he first went to Oklahoma State. And for Swiderski, it could arguably be worse. Like when you go to college, you go, okay, well, there's going to be an adjustment period, right?
Sure,
like,
but this
was about to get to. Like he's done that adjustment and All-American. Then he transferred for what he thought was a better situation. And now, like, he's in a situation where it's like, what do we do? I mean, there's rumors down there that Taken Jameson's going to come back and wrestle 49 second semester. So, yeah. I mean, I feel like Sergio Vega's spot is pretty safe in the lineup.
Sure.
So, it's
I just wanted to throw it out there and get your opinion on it because
I would either wrestle in both or not at all. Like,
as a coach, we had to make these decisions sometimes, and it's not that we don't have faith in the kid. It's just we need to get your mind back to where it needs to be because right now you're all over the place. And I would not be surprised if they sit him this weekend and he's just doing things at home with somebody trying to work on some things that he's not doing very well right now. Let's put it that way.
That or they take him, right? And he just doesn't wrestle but he's part of the team and gets his energy right and he can support his teammates and do those things. That's another option, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that'll be interesting to see. I mean, let's put it this way. They're not going to need him to win the duel.
No.
So, no disrespect to Arizona State, but Arizona State's not winning 5 matches in that duel. I think they not reasonably, but if they wrestle great, they could win 4. I mean, they'd have to wrestle great, though. Like,
what 4? Let's go back to it. What 4 are you thinking
if they wrestle out of their minds, they can win 33, 41, 49, 84. If you said to me, set the over-under on the amount of wins they have, I think I'd set it at 1.5.
That's what I was thinking. So 4 is a big number.
No, I'm saying
I'm not saying they would have to. Oklahoma State, these kids would have to quit wrestling the way that they wrestled last weekend at national duels. And yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. So, yeah, right now, Arizona State's, they're young. They're in a transition period. I think they're going to be fine, but it's going to take a while. Yeah. And Oklahoma State's one of the top teams in the country, period.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so we'll preview this real quick, Mark. And here's one of the downsides of the national duels. You now have a repeat. Like Illinois is going to go to Missouri and wrestle at Mizzou Monday night. And they just wrestled. And this was something Roby said, like, well, maybe it's going to discourage some things. Like Virginia Tech had to wrestle NC State. They had to wrestle Minnesota twice. It's like, but you want a true winner of the bracket. Like, I mean, a lot of these college coaches are like, for years, like, I'll go. I just want to wrestle these 4 teams. I remember we're going to try to put together the Cowboy Classic duels tied to the Hall of Fame duels. And the biggest problem was, I want to wrestle this team and I don't want to wrestle that team. The one coach was like, I got to wrestle. I don't mean to put them on Front Street, but we have to wrestle Morgan State. We have to get a win. And I'm like, okay, the problem was, when teams don't want to wrestle each other, listen, probably the highest profile duel was Oklahoma State, Iowa. I mean, it didn't end up being for the title, but everybody wanted to see that duel. But it's also a repeat now. It doesn't mean it's less exciting, but.
Agreed.
So anyway, here's the results of the duel last time. I don't know what just happened here. Where do we go? Oh, here it is. Okay. So Moore beat Mauger, Bird beat Cade Moore, Seltzer beat Cole Brower. And so they didn't have Danny Pacino. Okay. Yep. So if Danny Pacino wrestled, he'd be favored. It's super close, 16-19. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe let's do it this way. In the last duel, Missouri won 41. They got injured at 74. They'd be favored there. So, and then they won 84 and 97 by injury default, and they won heavyweight by forfeit. So it's a super weird duel from the last time. So maybe let's just do it this way. Spencer Moore's favored over Mauger. Agree?
Agreed.
Lucas Bird over Cade Moore. Agree?
Yes.
Pacino or Seltzer. I mean, I live in Missouri, so I'll say Seltzer, especially if they don't wrestle Pacino, okay?
Okay.
Josh Edmond, favored over Joffrey?
Yes.
So it's 2-2. Cannon Webster, big favorite over Conway, right?
Yep.
Scholes, didn't wrestle Mayfield last time, got a tech against Joe Milan, but he'd still be favored, right?
Well, wait a minute. Is Webster going to wrestle Mendoza or Conway?
Yeah, he'll wrestle Mendoza.
And he beat him up pretty good at the duel, right?
We beat him 5-3.
Okay. So a good match, quality match. Yep.
So, but you're still having 3-2 Illinois at this point, right?
Yep.
Scholes over Mayfield, right?
Yes. Yes.
So 4-2. Cam Steed, if he's healthy, he's favored, right?
Yes.
4-3. Aiden Sinclair's favored, right?
Yep.
4-4. Evan Bates over Connell.
I would say Evan Bates would be favored. Yep.
Yep. And then Luffman, it's a 5-5 duel that way.
Yep.
So, I mean, Missouri could win the duel.
They could.
They'll be at home. So
but bonus points right now in this duel are going to be big. And I think first one you look at for bonus points would be Bird, obviously. Because
he almost got pinned, right?
Yeah, Cade Moore's.
Cade Moore had him in a cradle. If you go back and watch the highlight, it's absurd that he got out of it. And then he pinned him. He just fought it, ended up on top, barbed wired him and pinned him. But, we know Cade Moore, he's done the clinic for us a couple times at Border Brawl. Super personable kid. I mean, you don't root for or against anybody, but I was like, my gosh. Even Lucas Bird, when he walked off, was kind of like this to Hunter, let's not do that again.
Yeah.
So that's Monday night. I don't know if we'll do our reaction, probably do our reactions on Tuesday, and then maybe go through we'll have to do everything Tuesday and Wednesday because of the holiday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, probably the last thing to talk about is, to me, one of the best duels of the year is next Sunday, which is Iowa State. Super interested in seeing that. It's at Iowa State this year, so that helps them, I guess. Let me see, on paper, we're going to
that place will be it will be absolutely nuts.
Absurd. So I'll just read off the ranking matchups. 7 against 9, 4 against 7, 8 against 5, 14 against 3, but it's Ryder Block Pinheiro. That wouldn't be shocking if Ryder Block was too long for him. 9 against 3, 3 against 24, but Connor Uten wrestled Caliendo pretty tough last year.
Mm-hmm.
2 against 13, 1 against 10, 8 against 2, 6 against 1, and right now it's 5-5. Like, here's the favorites for Iowa: Peterson over Poulin, Ayala over Frost, Caliendo over Uten, Kennedy over MJ Gaitan, Ferrari over Isaac Dean. Iowa State's 5 are Echemendia over Bailey, Pinheiro over Block, Zerbin over J-Dub, Elam over Endine, Bastida over Keeter.
I'm more comfortable with Iowa State's favorites than I am with Iowa. So that's always going to be.
Well, we'll get to it next week, but it's going to be fascinating, right?
It will. It'd be a great duel. Absolutely great duel.
Yeah.
But Iowa just seems to find a way to beat Iowa State. I don't get it. I thought a couple of years that they were going to probably lose. And on paper, it looked
2
like
years
they
ago.
were.
2 years ago.
And on paper, we all said Iowa State's going to win this duel.
And Gabe Arnold won him the duel.
Yeah, it didn't happen. So, I mean, Tom and Terry can figure some stuff out. There's no doubt about that.
I think those 10 guys, though, are the best 10, right? Like, they don't have an Angelo Ferrari that's sitting out. Like, Harvey Ludington's not better than Endine. Leo Bailey's not better than Dean Peterson. Like, they don't have a true freshman, I don't think, that matches up specifically against a guy.
No.
You know, and like last year was brilliant. They wrestled Ferrari like against Plott. I'm talking about that duel now.
Yep.
Where Plott had hammered Gabe Arnold the year before.
Yep.
So, I mean, if Arnold was brilliant, I was like, we got nothing to lose. Like, we know we're going to lose the other way. This kid's pretty freaking good, and he's been in that room. He knows what works. So, we will also be sure to say what we are thankful for next week as well. But I appreciate you.
David, here's a question for you.
Okay.
What if Gabe Arnold wrestled Dean? Who would you say would be the favorite?
I don't know.
Okay, let's say we thought maybe Gabe Arnold could beat Dean.
Okay.
What if they move Ferrari up to 97 to wrestle
Elam?
Elam.
So that's interesting, right? Like, you're trying to win them both, but it could just as easily backfire.
It could. But I'm just saying there's things that can happen when coaches don't want to lose to somebody. They can do some kind of.
What's interesting about that is this, right? Like, Isaac Dean could beat Ferrari. Ferrari wrestles a lot of close matches, but he's the favorite. And Dean could be Rocky Elam, but if Rocky Elam's healthy, he's the favorite. And you don't particularly think either one of those guys are going to get bonus. So it feels like it's a push, like +3, -3, depending on you're even. Okay, it's 3-3. So it's kind of interesting, right? Like, if you're Iowa and you're up 4 going into the last 3 matches, you play it straight, right? Like, Angelo wins, you're up 7.
Sure.
You lose at 97, you lose at heavyweight, you win the duel by 1.
Yep.
If it's tied, just say it's tied to make it simple. You're like, we got to win 2 of these. Whoever wins 2 of these 3 matches are going to win the duel.
Yep.
Well, Keeters can't be at his peak performance against Bastida next weekend. I know Bastida almost lost to Braxton Amos, whatever else. I get that. That's a real result. But at least he's wrestling. He's healthy.
Yep.
I mean, like, Ben Keeter, they would have probably liked him to wrestle this past weekend.
Yeah.
I think Bastida is a pretty solid favorite. And as high as I am on Endine, I think Rocky's a pretty solid favorite. So then you probably do have to try to do it. So the team points, I think, will dictate that, right?
Yep.
I mean,
and I have no idea if Iowa would even think about doing this, but knowing Iowa, I could see them doing something.
I'll tell you one to think about is maybe Voinovich at 49 and Ryder Block at 57 if Jordan Williams isn't healthy. Because Jordan Williams didn't wrestle on the second day.
No, he did not.
Ryder Block's a tall guy like Zerbin. Maybe he gives him trouble, right? And Pinheiro's, I mean, again, it's kind of what I think what the brands are really good at is being realistic. You know, like all our guys are going to win. Like, well, look at it, and it doesn't matter who you throw out there, right? I mean, if you're crazy enough to think that. And they're not. They're very realistic. Like, hey, Mark's a favorite over David. He might not be a favorite over Grant. You know, that kind of stuff. And so we want this matchup. And Iowa State's traditionally just wrestled it straight, but like they have some options too, right? Like they could wrestle Frost at 49.
They could.
So, you know what's funny is we do all this stuff, and then there's certain rules like we don't even know, like the dual meet rules. People don't know the tiebreaker. On a duel where it's at one place, does the home team have to put the guy out first in every match, or is it alternating?
I think the home team has to put out a guy first, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
That's a big difference, right?
It is really big difference.
And we talked about this weekend too, like where the duel started, right? Like take the final, because that's kind of the duel everybody remembers. Let's say it started at 65 and Iowa wins overtime, right?
Yep.
And, then Endine wins. They're up 12-0. I mean, you can argue the results are going to be the same. Like, obviously, the result at heavyweight was probably going to be the same because Keeter's not going to wrestle.
Yep.
But the first half, Ohio State ran that. Like, it just feels different.
Yeah.
Whether you're trying to run somebody down or whether you're the rat, whether the tortoise or the hare, right?
Yeah.
So
I agree.
All right, my brother. I appreciate you. You have a good weekend. Thank you guys all for watching and listening. Please like, please subscribe. God bless.